Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today for our March coffee break. These just keep getting better and better. Thank you guys so much. So yeah, we have a lot of people to thank today, starting off with obviously the incubator for giving us this great venue. We always love using this space, and just so practical. The Caffeinated being right across the way. Speaking of them, we have to thank the Caffeinated for providing us with delicious coffee. We're here early in the morning. Yes. Woo! Yes, and Morning Bee Bakery for providing us with delicious pastries. So yeah, thank you to them. Yeah. And then so we have a lot of great people here today who we want to do some quick shout outs for, starting with our fantastic musician, Sam.
Hello, my name is Sam Steadman, if nobody knew. I grew up in Ringgold, Georgia, which is like 5 minutes outside of here. But yeah, inspiring singer-songwriter, upcoming. And I also own a local small business, hoping to be a food truck within the next few months. It's a smash burger pop-up. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram at I am Sam, if anybody's interested. And if not, and you're just hungry, then you can find Smash Boys Chat, and I'll fill your tummy. So yeah, that's me. Here I am.
Thank you, Sam. Then so another person we want to shout out is our artist today, Dee. If you will come on up.
Hi everyone, my name is Dee Miles, and I am a photographer and mixed media artist. You can find me at Clear Story Arts, Studio 26, and I have a table back here. I've done photography most of my life, but over the last year I've done art creation full time and doing some other things, incorporating photography into art. And so glad to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dee. Yeah, make sure to look out for our work. Next up, we have our nonprofit, which this time is the Chattanooga Orchestra and Symphony. So,
Hi, I'm Susan Kamenez. I am the executive director as of Monday. Yeah, woo! It's been a roller coaster. But we are so psyched. I want to thank my staff, actually, who set this up. They are amazing. And to be the Give Back partner this month, which is my birthday month, which makes it super awesome. I just wanted to say a quick thing. You can support us by coming to our concerts, but we are more than just our concerts. We reach out to the community in like 60 to 80 touch points throughout the year, serving over 14,000 people, going into schools, soup kitchens, nursing homes, with our ensembles. We do way more than people realize we do, and that support is needed so we can continue to do that. And like everyone else, we are a struggling arts organization, so we really want to survive, so please support us.
okay, and then our resource for this one, which is the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce. We have Ross here today. Come on, Ross.
Thank you, and shout out to you guys for hosting this great event and for starting it. It is phenomenal. I've met so many fantastic people here. So I'm Ross Katayama. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator with the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce. I help oversee our councils, and what they do is host networking events all throughout our county, and they're ran by board of directors and volunteers who live, work, or do business within our community. So they help host networking events to try and find ways that they can connect and reach the community. The Chamber of Commerce is here to help support and serve our business community, to make connections and to be a resource for you all as you are here to grow. We have some phenomenal community partners like the Incubator and the Small Business Development Center, as well as several other organizations in town. So we kind of have our hands in everything from economic development to public policy, diversity, equity, inclusion work, kind of you name it, we're a part of it. So feel free to use us, reach out to us. If you're interested in joining the chamber, feel free to reach out to me or to Guy Lee, who's standing in the back. We'd be happy to connect with you. If you have any questions, we're here to support you all in your business. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ross. And last but absolutely not least, we have to thank our amazing videographer, Joshua from Jamsessions Production.
again, thank you, Jamsessions Productions. My name is Joshua Allen, where we specialize in live streaming arts and performances, arts and creatives, and corporate events. So it's good to be a part of this. This is an amazing community. One thing that I love about this, specifically Coffee Break, is its people, and it aligns with what we do as business. Yeah, anybody can hold a camera, but it's about connecting people and really just coming together and seeing how we can help each other because, hey, we all know you can't do this by yourself. So glad to be here. Thank you. Let's keep moving.
All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to do what we've started doing every time and just have you guys raise your hands for kind of what you're here representing. So this time I'm going to do it by the stickers though. So if you are an entrepreneur sticker, raise your hand. Awesome. All right, now nonprofit sticker, raise your hand. That big. All right, now creative, raise your hand. Sweet. Professional, raise your hand. And community advocate. All right, did anyone write in a blank, like their own version? Raise your hand. I'm gonna put you on the spot. You know, okay, cool. That means we got enough stickers. That's awesome. So if y'all been here before, you'll notice that the stickers are new. We did the colored stickers before, and we didn't think it was good enough, and so we kind of went to the whiteboard and we were like, what is the potential of everyone that could ever come to this? And we had about like 15 stickers. We're like, oh, that's too many. And then we were like, let's get it down to way less than that. We got down to 5. We were like, it still feels like a lot, but we couldn't get it to like fewer pieces than that. So that's where we landed, was the 5. And we think it's a good kind of representation because you can do 2 stickers. If you want, you can do all 5. You're probably lying, but yeah, you can. So that's the reason we exist, is to try and be a crossroads for the small business people, the nonprofits, the creatives, the professionals, the resources. Our quote business model is based on the Be the Change model, which is that crossroads. They focus on youth as well, but it's hard to get kids here at 8:30 in the morning on a Friday, so we didn't try and work on that. So yeah, I just want to point out that all of our musicians that we have play, so Sam, we're funneling from the Be the Change Collective, which is a group of musicians in town that are phenomenal. They're obviously talented, but they also give their time and their resources to have things like Concerts for a Cause that raise money for other nonprofits. They raise money and they do toy drives for kids over Christmas. They're doing house shows now, which if you're interested in hosting a house show, either at your house or your business, or if you want to take over somebody else's house when they're out of town on vacation, that's your problem, not ours. So talk to Deirdre afterwards. She's raising her hand over there. Or you can talk to Sam and he'll point you to Deirdre. And then, so our artists are funneled from Walnut Street Publishing. Aaron, will you raise your hand in the back? So that's Mr. Aaron Quinn. Yeah. So Walnut Street Publishing, we started working with them last year, and it's been an awesome partnership that's turned into a great friendship. If you're interested in Dungeons & Dragons, our next thing on Monday night is open to the public, and you can just come and play Dungeons & Dragons. It's open to anyone. So it's at Caffeinated block from here. I think it starts at like 5 or 6. Just follow Walnut Street Publishing's Instagram. So just community events, they focus on providing platforms and resources for local creatives, whether it's poetry chapbooks to art, like on Canvas, to literally anything you could think of. And they're trying to open a space soon, right? Yeah. So you do? Nice. Is that in the Clear Story building? Yeah. So they're going to be connected to the Clear Story Arts building, just like further on the right. So they'll have their own space. So so we focus on community, like Joshua was saying. People are our currency, and that's what we believe in and what we're here for. And we think it's really fun when the nasty word of networking is relational instead of transactional. So we're a community building space rather than a networking space. So I'm going to turn it over now to our speakers, which are...
Okay, one more thing.
Yeah.
I have one more exciting thing to tell you guys about. So you guys might remember that a while ago, I think it's our February coffee break, maybe January 1, we talked about things you guys want to see from coffee break, and we got some great feedback about different just topics you guys are interested in. A big thing we kept hearing was you wanted some tips for how to market for your business, your nonprofit, for your creations, all that kind of stuff. And we're marketing people. So we are going to start doing some other events beyond coffee break. We're going to call them coffee breakouts. These are going to be paid events to make them
a little bit more intimate, and so they can be at some smaller, more prestigious venues and stuff like that. Yeah, we have our first one coming up on the 22nd, where we're going to be talking about brand archetypes and teaching y'all how to better connect with your customer bases and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're interested in that, we have a paper out there on the sign-in table that has information and a QR code, and also it's all over our social media.
If you have any questions, just come nag us. That's what we're here for. Yeah, so we're going to get started with our speakers. We've done panels so far, and we were coming and planning into this one, and we were like, if we do another panel, then Coffee Break is officially a panel event. We don't want it to be that. So we're like, all right, we can't do a panel, even though it's a lot of fun. So we're like, all right, what's someone that we love, that's great, that's already doing amazing things in the community, that we're already partnered with? We're like, oh, White Oak High School Co-op. So Blake and Kat are going to speak today. They're going to share their stories about how they started, what they do, how you can become a part of it and get connected. And I'm sure they have some very entertaining stories as well. So Blake and Kat, come on up.
Thank you. I was thinking about in preparation for this, White Oak has been community partners with the Caffeinated for probably the longest any of the community partners has been with them. So I'm very proud of that, and I will warn you, watch out, because these guys produce some synergy that can take your ideas and take it to places you'll never think it'll go. A few months after these guys started a coffee shop in Red Bank, a few miles, or about a mile down the road in South Red Bank, a couple other guys got together in the garage to address some needs that they saw right in front of them. Like many of us, COVID sent us home, and it gave us the opportunity to kind of think about things and reflect on where we were and how can we look at these things in our community that are going on a little bit different. And so we swapped from watching football and drinking beer on Saturdays to fixing kids' bikes and trying to, in a very small way, get those out to address some of these public health issues, specifically physical activity in our communities and the barriers that families and children still face as far as being active. That organization, what started off as just this grassroots thing, is now taken off where we consider ourselves a Southeast Tennessee organization where our programming stretches 100 miles. We've given away over 1,200 bikes since we started 3.5 years ago. And one of our proudest, it's coming from the field of public health. You learn really quick that the environment impacts outcomes. And so if you want to change the outcome, sometimes you're going to have to do the work to change the environment. And as we started out, our change in the environment was access to bicycles. If we can get free bikes out to kids, potentially that could start getting kids to riding and being active. But the environment is much more than one thing. It takes a whole lot more. So it's going to take more than just giving away bicycles. So last year, we had the tremendous opportunity, through a lot of blessings, to bring on Kat, our bicycle programming, director of programming, which launched us into education. And so last year alone, we were able to bring over 3,000 participants through our programming and educate them. So now we're giving access and education. And the other thing that we're focused on in our work is the built environment, because we have to create spaces for folks to go out and recreate and have these experiences. We have a lot of that here in Chattanooga. We need to open the doors up a little bit wider to allow others in. That's part of our work. But we have to be able to create these environments, because just like when you make the choice an easy choice, it's easier to do. And so as we work with like the Trust for Public Land, the 10-minute walk to a park initiatives, Sorba here, they continue to build trails around town. All these initiatives with a built environment make an impact. So in a nutshell, our organization is about access, education, and focus on advocating for changes in the built environment. So I'm going to let the fun person talk now.
Oh, works? Okay, great. So fun. So my name's Kat, and I am the director of programs here. And it is so rare that I get to speak to a room full of adults. So that's interesting. But you know, I didn't know that this wasn't a panel, Chris, so I have absolutely nothing prepared. I talk to children all day. So we do a whole lot of things at White Oak, as Blake was mentioning. But really, my job at the end of the day is to play bikes with kids. I do direct other programs, and I do get into other things. He mentioned the built environment. You know, I've been riding bikes with kids in really crappy parking lots in Chattanooga for several years now. That's not a joke. Don't laugh at that. It's true. So I've been working with the city, and we're gonna take one of those parking lots and we're gonna turn it into something a little bit cooler than a rundown parking lot, right? So that's some of the things that we do get into. But my friend Mike Gehard is right there, and I'm mentioning him because I had this conversation just before we walked in here, but I'm very much in like program season right now. Program season started like this week. So I had a group of kids. When Blake says regional, like that's very, very true. I had a group of Saudi Daisy kids on Monday, then rained out Tuesday, and then I had 40 kids yesterday on bikes. It was all great. It was all wonderful. And I'm super glad that like the first day kind of jitters of programming are done, because Monday did not go well. They were all over the place, but that's okay. It happens. You know, spring is when all the kind of crazies come out anyways, right? But yeah, I don't have anything prepared. Like I said, that's not a joke. Does anybody have any questions? Nothing, really?
But where do you find your bikes that you give away? Like, where the bikes come from?
So another wonderful thing about our work is it's really community involved. We receive bikes donated from the community. So we have 10 different donation locations around town where we partner with a lot of bike shops, pretty much any of the bike shops in town, Caffeinated, some locations in Red Bank, that folks can just donate bicycles. Early on, we decided to not take the bicycle business route, which would have been very easy to do, which is turn into a community bike shop. We really leaned in on access. And so pretty much outside of a handful of bikes that we sell at Northside Neighborhood House, just to generate a couple $100 to buy tubes and chains, all the bikes that come in are going directly out to organizations across, Hamilton County and Southeast Tennessee. And we take those bikes. We have two different pillars. One is our children and youth, where Kat kind of leads that and takes folks out. We also have our bicycles for transportation. As you probably read in the paper, we went from a couple hundred folks who were unhoused on our streets before COVID to several thousands. Our service agencies around here, and some of you are in the room, I got to watch them get slammed over COVID. And so our organizations are maxed out, doing really hard work addressing a need that seems to be never ending. And so we came in and partnered with any of the organizations who are working with unhoused, those coming out of alcohol and drug rehab, those coming out of incarceration, who don't have driver's license. And we provide bicycles to those organizations in turn where they identify those who receive those. So we're not out on the streets, here's a bike, here's a bike, here's a bike. We're letting the organizations identify those folks. We do have 2 big bike giveaways, so if you come to the May 4th this year, come out to the Red Bank Jubilee, you will likely see the biggest bicycle kids event ever. We'll have hundreds of kids on Dayton Boulevard in front of Food City riding bikes, so it's a great thing. But out of a few community giveaways, all of our work is working with organizations who need bikes, or either kids to be active or those who need transportation.
Blake, could you give us kind of a list of the names of some of the organizations that you guys work mostly with?
So I wrote our impact report this year back in January, and That list is 103 different partners. So I looked at a lot of those numbers and a lot of those partners, and I separated them into government organizations, nonprofit organizations, and schools. That was the big ones. There's a few others on there, but number one on the list of who we gave bikes to this year is Metropolitan Ministries. We gave them 76 bikes, I believe, something along that line. Next up is probably Joe Brackett. Joe Brackett is Homeless Healthcare. Homeless Healthcare, he's with the city. Everybody's nodding like y'all know him. Everybody knows Joe, right?
He's a great guy.
Yeah. Let's see, the public kind of bike giveaways and bike rodeos, that was a larger number than I expected. That ended up being a little over 100, I think, in turn, because we gave away 44 at the Red Bank Jubilee last year and like 30 at the White Oak United Methodist Church Easter giveaway. So, name somebody. Heck, about Red Bank High School. We gave 10 bikes to them, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other good part of this work is we get to work with many organizations around town and have that, 5 minutes of dropping off a bike to them and having that quick conversation and catch up and just hear the amazing work and how Chattanooga, you will hear it, the Chattanooga way, right? That is a term that years ago that folks come together and they do something when they see something in their community, they come together and they address it. And so we're just part of that, right now through our work, but it's not anything that's unique to us. It's just really about the culture of this city. So if you're new here, you will likely start seeing that. You'll start seeing that here within this room and outward. So yeah, amazing community partners, governmental agencies, schools, the list is long. And so that's the really great part about this. And that's the thing that I'm proudest of from this work is our community partners and the relationships that we have with them and that we're able to support them.
So when I first started working with you guys, I was like, how important are bikes? They're bikes, right? What's the biggest impact you've seen giving a bike to someone and like just the transformation when like pre-bike to post-bike?
We hear the stories because we primarily work with organizations, but I think the reality is what we're doing with why a bike. Why is a bike so important? If you go around downtown, you'll look around, and if you go down 11th Street, you go around, you'll start to see why a bike's important because it can be someone's only means of transportation. And I understand if we go down to 11th Street and we give the Chat Foundation 10 bicycles that are going to immediately distribute out to the community, that 5 of those bikes might be going just like that. But there might be 5 that remain. And the 5 that remain may use that opportunity to seek those services because that bicycle takes us out of that 11th Street corridor and allows us to go out and seek services outside of that. Especially right now, where we rapidly house people towards the end of the year, towards the beginning of the year. Chattanooga's been doing a great job of that. But now, a lot of these individuals who are on the streets are now in apartments, and they may not have sidewalk access. They might not have bus access. And so, a bicycle plays a key role in connecting those individuals to the Carter lines. I was just talking with Savannah Ward from Carter yesterday, discussing this issue as we hear organizations around town. We put them in this apartment complex. We put them in this. Well, how can we now come together and work with these organizations so they can educate their clients of how to navigate this city, whether by bike, whether by bus, whether by foot. And I think that's the important part of a bike is how it plays a part in that transportation gap. For kids, it gives an opportunity to have fun. And that's the reality. We are moving to a place where 1 out of 4 children across the nation, a little higher here in Tennessee, are dealing with effects of obesity. I spent several years working at Children's Hospital and got the opportunity to talk with thousands of families about the barriers that they face, and access was a major one of those. And so through our work, bicycles. If a kid wants a bike, let's get them a bike. And let's provide them the opportunity to ride and have that experience that many of us experienced when we were young, and allow this next generation to do something that takes them off the screen and provides them a fun way to be happy.
Okay. I think it's amazing that you're working with the city to do something with an abandoned parking lot. I'm curious, and obviously I'm concerned, but like, what kind of legwork went into that? Did the city approach you about that? How did that come about? And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Can you repeat the question, please?
She she was asking about the work about turning the parking lot into, and how that came about and working with the city, right? And that is a very, very evolving thing, like extremely recent. So as recent as measuring a parking lot Tuesday in the rain. So I was asked by the city about a year ago to, so along with playing bikes with kids all day, I have 2 certifications. I'm a League of American Bicyclists instructor, but I'm also a professional mountain bike instructor. And I blend the 2 skills together a lot because look at our streets. Like, you know, it is a lot safer sometimes if you honestly can just like, you know, have a mountain bike ready position to get over that pothole, right? If you need to jump up on the curb, like I can teach a child to safely do that, blending those certifications together. I'll talk your ear off all day about like getting rad, so. But so I was asked about a year ago, the city is kind of doing some work and kind of redesigning that entryway to Stringer's Ridge. We're redesigning the pump track. It's not really pump track anymore because no one's been maintaining it for years. And I was asked to redesign what we call the upper pump track, which is really going to turn into a bicycle playground. That's what I'm calling it. It's more of a skills area. So I came up with the concept just because I know what type of skills these children in our area need, right? To be safe on their bicycles. So I designed something and the city was like, that's great. We don't have a budget for that. Like, okay, cool. So we're gonna kind of take that idea. Blythe Bailey at the city is working on redoing that plan, which is totally fine. And I had it kind of be the theme of like Chattanooga transportation. Like there's a lot of transportation in the city. We have a history with trains. The tow truck was invented in Chattanooga. I love that. Like, wouldn't it be fun if kids could ride their bikes over a tow truck? So anyways, they're like, that's cute. We can't do that. And I'm like, okay. So they said, well, hey, you know, could we take that kind of traffic-y idea and painting a little streetscape and roads for kids to ride on? Can we put that somewhere? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I forgot who came up with the idea, but it'll be, I mean, South Chat YFD, that community center, that's kind of the parking lot that they located because no one's parking there, no one's using that. I visit South Chat YFD probably at least 3 times a year, if not 4, to go ride bikes with those kids. And I'm using that parking lot. And so as literally as recent as Tuesday, I was out there in the rain measuring the parking lot. And then I get excited about this stuff. And I'm at 10 o'clock at night on Tuesday doodling with like my child's Crayola markers a parking lot. So that's kind of the process. So it's called a traffic garden. Places in other cities have them, but the whole point is to get small children, you know, riding bikes safely and understanding how streets work. That's about all I know. This is very developing. Again, I sent those marker drawings to the city like Wednesday morning, and I'm sure they're gonna be like, that's cute. Can't do that.
In working with our government partners, when they're building, like for example, the Allen Park extension that was in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago that the city's going for funding for, the question is, if you build it, will they come? And we're at the table saying yes, and we will bring them. And so that's part of our advocacy is trying to say yes. If you go out and you want to have this extension from Mountain Park that'll go into the Mountain Park and East Lake community, then we're bringing in our programming, we're bringing in our bikes, we're bringing in the kids out to this, and we're allowing them access to these opportunities just like many of us get experience because it's in our neighborhoods.
So, my name is Nicole, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the corridor study that they're doing, the transportation study that they're doing right here on Fraser Avenue. So if you go to Chatta Transit on Facebook or Instagram, and the link in the bio, you can participate in that study, but there are two options to choose from. One option puts more parking spaces on the street. The other option puts in a bike lane, so it replaces some parking with a bike lane, so folks may want to go and vote on that. And then my follow-up to that is, what can our community do to support you guys? Do you need volunteers? Do you need donations? What is it that you need?
We will take all your bikes. You can drop them off at Caffeinated right over here. That's the major thing. We always receive bikes. Obviously, money. Every nonprofit, we all need that. But really, if you were to ask me, the first thing, we need bikes, because when we get in bikes, we don't look at, oh, this is a bike and it's worth this. No, we look at that bike as an opportunity where that's going in the life it's going to impact. So that would be our first thing. We do have a volunteer night, so if you know how to work on bikes or interested in working on bikes, we meet in Red Bank, in an old casket factory. Near Taco Bell in Red Bank in the warehouse right across the street on Linden Avenue. Every Monday night, we roll up the doors and just volunteers come in there and work on bikes, and we distribute those out the next week to organizations at United.
Other than the fact that, thank you for mentioning that survey, that is available till March 15th, is that correct? 15th? Yeah. So just a side note, go fill out the survey if you care about people, right? Even if you don't, even if you like buildings and streets and you care more about that, go fill it out anyways. There's I just want to address one thing with that, because I've seen some of the things that people might think or might say, and one of the things is oh, if we cut this lane of traffic down to a bike lane or make a larger sidewalk, it's going to hurt our business. It's not. Traffic's going to be terrible on Fraser if you do that. Guys, traffic's already terrible on Fraser. It's not going to make it worse. Can you make it worse? Come on. So that's just kind of a common misperception I would like to address. But thank you for mentioning that. It's super duper important.
All right, one more. Two more. Okay. Ashley.
Can you give more detailing on the types of programming that you offer and the types of how do you get connected with the kids? Is it designed for kids to stay in the programming? Do you teach them how to ride bikes?
We do all of the above. So even though I've only been at White Oak since last October, I've been doing this for almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years in May. And I started at the Collegedale Police Department under a very similar grant from the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. And even though I was in the police department, I was really a department of one. I was one person over here doing all of this stuff, right? So I realized a long time ago that hey, I can pretty much only do programming and the necessary grant paperwork I need to do. I can't market these programs. I'm capable of it, but I just don't have time. So all of my I don't do any marketing. When you say where these kids come from, I rely on my partners. So I bring all the bikes, I bring all the helmets, I bring all the toys, I bring everything we need. I need children. So if you're an organization that's got a captive audience of children, bring them on down, or I'll come to you. And that's the thing too, is I've never, we have an office, don't get me wrong, but in terms of I'm very mobile. I go to my partners with the programming because I know transporting children is also very much an access barrier, right? So that's one thing. Second thing is what type of programming I do. Really, I just kind of, if you can dream it, you can be it, okay? Most of my programming is just tailored to whatever my partner needs within their time frame, within their space that they have. But some typical classic type of programming is we do some learn to ride. A lot of that is very light within a program though, because of course I'll show up and, all right, raise your hand if you know how to ride a bike. Every single hand goes up, right? Half those kids know how to ride a bike. So it's kind of intuitive, I guess, or, you know, inherited. But there's a lot of bike rodeos, which is just a, you know, think of it more like a pop-up bicycle playground for children. I'll clean it all up at the end of the day. There's some skills and some rides. We meet with Bridge Outdoors at the Beth is a long time partner of mine, and I designed a program just for them that I've mirrored a lot, and it's a progressive skill building. So I will meet with them in the parking lot at First Cumberland Presbyterian, and we will do some bike rodeo things. We'll do some bike games, and then we'll go across the street and ride the levee, which is now I think part of the South Chick. And then we'll graduate to a Riverwalk ride, and I'll do some skills and we'll ride that. And most of these kids, even though they've, you know, lived here their whole lives and grown up here, they've never been to like the Walnut Street Bridge. So riding from Blue Goose Hollow up to the Walnut Street Bridge, classic, love it, right? And then we'll graduate them on the third session to some very light mountain biking. And we usually go to like Enterprise South for that. So that's a program, and there is continuity in that because I see a new crew every time there's a new crew of like 7th grade girls or boys. And then we saw Bridge again just past this last Saturday, and they got kids that are graduating high school that I've ridden bikes with very intermittently since they were in 7th grade. So it takes some time to get to that level, but it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, I do what I feel like when it comes to types of programming. Last one, right?
So thinking about, you know, access and like safety of like sidewalks and roads, I know it varies by neighborhood, and like there's a lot of inequality when it comes to like economic inequality, racial inequality. So how can we as a community kind of address that and that disparity? And is that something you guys are doing or have resources to do?
Do we have resource to do it? Not really, to be honest with you. That's like a Bob Ross thing. The advocacy is just a happy little accident. Like, I feel like I advocate for these children and their safety by like teaching them, and then people are like, oh, you do this all day, you could probably redesign Stringer's Ridge, right? And I'm like, sure. Like, so the thing that I've learned in terms of advocacy, because that's kind of what you're asking about, right, is advocating. And something I've learned over the past like few years of doing this is the squeakiest wheel gets the grease. I mean, that's like the lamest thing I could probably say right now, but it's true. So the first thing is really just engaging with that type of community. If they want sidewalks, cool, let's help them advocate. But if they're like, nah, we don't want sidewalks, then leave it alone. So, I mean, that makes sense?
I think I'll add to that is just looking around your community. We saw a 8-year-old boy standing right in front of us with the bottom of the shoes were worn out because he didn't have brakes on his bike. And we said, neighbors said, well, we're going to do something about that. And when we said we're going to do something about that, 4 years later, we're doing it thousands of times over. But I think just looking around your community and doing whatever little part of it. If you want to start, you don't have to be White Oak. Donating your bike or donating your time. There's so many different ways that you can get involved. And I encourage you, find your passion. There are community organizations all around Chattanooga. Connect with them, support them. They're not well funded. And so as much as we can come in to support our agencies that are on the ground, boots on the ground every day, through our volunteer efforts and their support. It is a tremendous job. But just look in your community, you'll see things there, and then come together with others to say, what can we do about it?
I know that we're at the very end, and the squeaky wheel point, I just want to throw in, like, how many people have taken that survey for Fraser Avenue? A few? Cool. So if all 50 people or some of this, and plus if you can get one other person to fill that out, because the city is advocating for the A, which adds 8 parking spaces, which, if you can imagine, is not really, I don't see that benefiting very much. It adds 2 minutes to traffic time. So I just want to reiterate, like, till the 15th, and you can keep me out for the future. And I know that, yeah, you guys also might not be able to take a position for it. Yeah, businesses or bike lanes also benefit businesses in that traffic. So please, 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 like, fill out that survey. I think you guys will post the link. But Plan B is better. That's a good way to remember it. That's my for you, Evan.
Christy Graves, squeaky wheel for much longer than I've been.
So thanks guys for speaking, that was awesome. They're fantastic human beings and they're doing fantastic work. What I mentioned earlier about the house shows with Be the Change, so what's really cool about their house shows, and so I'm on the board of Be the Change, I feel like I have to say that, conflict of interest and all that. So as board member, they're really bad at making money for themselves because any money they get in, they just hand it to other nonprofits. So with their house shows, they're actually fundraisers for other nonprofits. One of the, is it 4? One of the 4 nonprofits that they're raising money for is White Oak Bicycle Co-op. So if you are really impassioned today about these bikes and these people and what they're doing, a way that you can directly help is by talking to Be the Change. Deirdre had to go out, so Sydney, raise your hand. So Sydney over here, Deirdre's daughter, she's the, what is your title now?
Founder and president.
Founder and president of Be the Change. Also just all around badass person in general. So talk to her. So you can set up a house show. It doesn't cost you anything, right? Yeah, so it's just, you have a space, you invite people, they provide the musicians. The only thing you have to do is whoever you invite, you ask them for the money and not them. So you say, hey, y'all pull out your checkbooks. You don't have to do that, but you should. So yeah, and then so they have 4 different nonprofits that they raise the money for at those things. So if you want to say, I want to do a house show for White Oak Bicycle Co-op, you can do that. Yes, Michael?
Do these have to be just at like people's houses, or can
No.
it be like a business?
House is a huge misnomer. Think of house as just space that you can fit at least 3 people in. So the musicians, yourself, and one other person. No, not really, don't do that, that'll be weird. But yeah, it can be a house, a home, it can be a business. Like I said, you can take over somebody else's house while they're on vacation. You can do the park. I mean, you're more creative than me, so do that. So yeah, so talk to them. It's a really fun, easy way to, at the very least, whoever you invite that comes, they now know about Be the Change in White Oak and whoever else is involved, and the musicians. And at the most, you get to either raise money for them, you get to start another house show, whatever that looks like. So their website is BeTheChangeYI.com. Their Instagram is the same thing. White Oak is also on Instagram as White Oak Bicycle. And then, yeah, so please, please, please talk to them if you're at all interested. If you're kind of on the fence, just go have a conversation because they'll convince you. Yeah, so thanks for coming. This was great. You can spend the rest of the time just building community, talking, meet someone that you don't know. Go talk to the artist, the nonprofit, the resource. Sam's going to keep playing for us. We are also rolling out sponsorships for future events. So if you're ever interested in sponsoring a coffee break, let us know. We'll talk about it. And if you want to know when the next one's happening, just follow our social media at Coffee Break Chattanooga. Our website is happycoffeebreak.com because that's the goal of Be Happy. And thanks for coming and for being awesome. See y'all next time. April 12th.
So,